This is Overtime, a live series brought to you by Lynx and War Room Media, where we talk about basically anything we want. And here are your hosts, Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. Buddy, how are you?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Going good.
Are you still in an undisclosed location?
Yeah, I am. I'll still be here till like the middle of January or so.
Okay. All right. Well, are you out there working on like distributing the vaccine or something important like that, or?
No, I don't have. I've run fresh out of mask. So, so yeah, let's jump right into it here. Let's see here. What do we got? We'll just throw this on the rundown here. All right. We have. We'll run through the oil prices. We'll talk a little bit about the market. The G20 Climate Summit. Also, the Vatican Going Net Zero.
Hey, good for the Vatican.
Bitcoin tops 20K. North Face is hating on the oil and gas side. So, yeah. And we'll touch on the vaccine just a little bit. Disney's new lineups, which I'm pretty stoked about. And, Jake Paul has a bag of bills these days there, right? By the way, we're looking for sponsors. Babies need new shoes. So.
I got a lot of babies too. I got 4 of them suckers. So I think I kind of wonder at this point if you and Ben are conspiring against me because you keep wanting to talk about these oil prices and you know how I feel about them. So and you lead with it. I think you're trying to get me, a little bit just jacked up first thing coming into the show. I think you and Ben are conspiring behind my back on this.
I mean, it's kind of like this. It's the 100,000 worth of oil and gas people. So I got to at least kick it off with something about the
I know it.
I'll probably get smooth booted off LinkedIn and start with some kind of business anyway, because people probably don't watch after a minute anyway.
Yeah, so, I hear you.
That's why we hold off on the real stuff till later on in,
Yeah, I know it. God, these oil prices.
All right. So first off, I wanted to we didn't get booted off, so that's good.
There we go.
Second off, did we find out who the intern was?
No. Well, if they have, no, I haven't even seen anyone else actually discuss that aspect of the story. Have you?
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen anyone bring it up. How is that possible? How's that possible?
You were the only one that actually brought it up. So.
I don't. Yeah, I haven't seen anyone. They're talking about kicking him off and fighting over this and fighting over that. It's like, who's the intern? Let's just start with that, But no, we can't have nice things like that. So
nope, hadn't heard a peep. So maybe we scared everybody away. So.
Oh, I got a feeling that no one wants to answer those type of questions. To be honest with you.
Oh, you're probably right. All right, let's jump into it.
It'd be funny if the intern was working for someone else now, like a Republican. She's working for like a
Republican spot,
or Rand Paul, or something like that. That would be hilarious.
I think we're looking at a 9-month high here. What do you think,
Greg? I don't know what's going on with this world. I mean, let me pull it up here.
Asia. That's what's going on with it, man.
Yeah. So the price,
48.13.
Okay. Yeah. The unemployment we're back down. We're having more lockdowns.
No.
We had Robert Martinez on the Texas Oil and Gas podcast on Monday, and he said he felt like the fundamentals were stronger than what I think they are. So, that was interesting. Do you follow at Big Oren on Twitter?
No, I don't.
So he I won't. I know his true identity. I won't give it away, but he's definitely someone to follow. He's an anonymous account, but if you know what he really did, he's coming from a place of intelligence, I should say. Not he's a smart guy, but he has access to data, and so he said,
CIA or
yeah,
FBI.
NSA, yeah. He tweeted out, I guess it was 7 hours ago, so early this morning. Will China buy strongly at these higher prices, which pushes OPEC Plus to increase production by 500,000 barrels a day more in each of February, March, and April, total of 2 million barrels a day increase. Then slow buying in May to push prices back down, and difficult for OPEC to redo the cuts. It is what I would do. That's an interesting theory because
It is
essentially,
interesting.
you know, they increase their buying, and so to your point, Asia buying. Okay, so Asia buys. They OPEC to match they match the production, keep the price out of control, and then all of a sudden, China flips the script. Well, now you've got the production up here. Well, what's happened to the price then? The price would really, really suffer, and so. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting take on what might be going on from China's side. And he said, someone asked,
Hedging them. Yeah.
someone asked him, demand in China and India is increasing every year 5-10%, not to mention other Asian countries. He says, very good, but China is going to use its SPR and huge commercial inventories in a much more proactive way than anyone else. This is how they will control prices, particularly differentials, freight, which have much more profound effect on refinery margins than flat price. And then he said, and someone says only when oil is 70 plus, not here. He said they've done it already when it was lower during July through October period. They cut back on buying. That is why the ports cleared. Differentials fell quite significantly during that period. So, anyways, I know he's an anonymous account. I do know him personally. I never met him, but we've talked and online, but offline or whatever. So I know who he is. He's a pretty reputable person where he's at, and I think you can't dismiss what he says. I feel like that.
Well, both sides are both points are good points. I mean, like you said last week there, the market indicators, being China being one of them, and comments about, professional use of reserves and then flipping the script. It makes sense to me. So.
Yeah, so we'll see. But if he's right, the concern is that we're heading for another big. I say another big crash, another potential big setback in oil prices. Though, right?
Well, I mean, short term, yeah, for sure. When it happens, it's going to be quick, and then it'll be another one of those long deals. Long drawn out deals again.
Well, right, and I guess if you're in the U.S. over here, the U.S. frackers, they can't take a lot more of those, snapbacks or whatever you want to call them, setbacks like that. So I don't know. It's interesting. Well,
I don't know where they're getting their cash from to stay around.
Well, that's true too. Well, what do you think about? I mean, look at the stock market; it's just overinflated, and then you look at like Bitcoin, which is going through the roof. But then you see the unemployment numbers coming out today. It's like, well, and the price today hasn't even gone down. Like my concern is there's no bad news for the market. It seems like, and that's a concern. Like the market, I'm critical of the market for overreacting, but at some point we have to acknowledge that there is bad news out there, right?
Yeah, there is bad news out there, but I mean, it's not enough to push the market to go one way or the other. It looks like it's. I mean, so other than no news changing the market, I mean, there's no real indicator of why it continues to increase, right? I mean, it has to be something.
Well, I mean, the Fed's buying corporate bonds still, and so that's so. Yeah, I mean, a couple things. One, there's fewer companies on the stock exchange now than there were back in the mid 90s. Even back as far as 1980, we have fewer companies today on the stock market than there was back in 1980. It's about half.
Realized it didn't work. Huh?
Yeah, a lot of those companies just didn't make it. And so, morning, George. And so if you look at the chart, it goes like from 19. Let's see if I can get my camera. Okay, so if this is 1980, this is today. It goes up into the mid 90s, and it comes back down, and it kind of comes back up a little bit. So the mid 90s is kind of the high point, and I think we're about half as many companies as we're like 96, 97 today, but we're still lower than
Right.
1980. You wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think that we have fewer publicly traded companies today than we did in 1980, but we do. And so, when the stock market's aside from what the Fed's doing, whatever the stock market means, it doesn't mean the same thing each year because the number of companies is constantly changing, and not by
That's
one
right.
or two, but by multiples of hundreds and hundreds and just about hundreds of companies that are thousands even. We had, I think, 7,600, 8,000 companies in 1996. We got like 3,600, 4,000 now. So you're talking about a drastic shift. So what does it mean now? Well, it means something different, and that's a question that people don't ask. And then the Fed buying up like Carnival and stuff like that, I think about before. Those things prop up the market even more so. And so you're sitting there looking at the market going, my God, look at this. Wow, the stock market's doing great. Well, I don't know what that means anymore because the Fed's buying the corporate bonds and there's fewer companies. And so I think the examination of what the stock market means is something that some of these analysts need to actually get there, do the work on.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes it's a charade game, moving money around one place to the other. So one of the other market articles there is the this came out. This is S&P. So one of the things there I noted in this one, well, there was two things actually. It was demand in key hubs. India and China have also given the bulls something to latch on to. India appeared to turn the corner in October with oil products demand up 2.5% year on year, ending 7 straight months of decline. So that was one thing there, and then there was another one here toward the end. I like this comment. Even market participants are not wholly convinced the rally has much further to run just yet. A look at the Brent market structure shows a flat forward curve in 2021, even with all the euphoria around vaccine boding well for increased consumption later next year. Those looking at the oil markets run higher may do well to remember that this recovery looks more like a marathon than a sprint. So that basically kind of resonates with just about everything that we've just talked about. So pretty good take.
How high do you think it's going to go before you have a correction?
50.
Well, Brent's already at 50. Brent's at 51. You talking about WTI?
Yeah, I was talking about WTI, but what are you thinking about Brent?
Yeah, Brent's at 51.47. So, okay. Well,
51. Yeah, okay, there it is right there. Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
So you want to do a rock, paper, scissors? You want
to? Well, I tell you, I thought 60.
65.
I was convinced that the price was going to reset at the end of the year. And the further we go along, the concern, so you look at those India numbers, those are fine. There's nothing wrong with those. Good for India having demand. The concern is that, it's not that the price is going up. That's not necessarily a concern. The problem is the price doesn't go down. Like, it doesn't go down at all. Like, if it was at 49 today and it went down to 46, you could say, okay, well, the traders are moving money around, like you say. That's like normal. It's not. It's not doing that, and that's the concern is that it's, you're going to see some of these frackers in the U.S. I haven't looked at the futures market, but they're going to lock in hedges for 2021, and so their production is going to be steady. So we have to have a significant uptick in demand in 2021 to match, I think, this potential outflow of oil. But I don't know. I'm at the point.
I mean, when the market oversupply came on from was it last week? You would have thought that would have done something, but it didn't.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last week, right? We had like a 15 million barrel increase, and the market still didn't go down. Like,
that's right.
If that doesn't sit down, then what does? Well, nothing apparently. And so,
all right. Well, I guess we'll wait and see, won't we? Waiting for the bubble to bust. Is that what we're
Well,
for?
I mean, it's one of those things you want to be wrong on, but
Totally,
you,
100%.
you want to be like, you want people to go, oh, you were so wrong. Right, I was wrong. However, I'm not being a contrarian to be a contrarian. It doesn't make sense, and I think I think anyone who's given an honest assessment of the stock market in general thinks that a lot of this doesn't make sense, and so trying to figure out what's real and what's mythical is the hard part right now.
Well, I hope somebody cashes out and makes a little bit of money on it.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Let's see here. So, yeah, the G20 Climate Summit. So, all right. So, yeah. So this was held on the 12th there, Saturday in Saudi Arabia. So I had a couple of comments here. So the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, said, I want to note here on this one, it said, so far the members of the G20, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, there we go. So far, the members of the G20 are spending 50% more in their stimulus and rescue packages on sectors linked to fossil fuel production and consumption than on low carbon energy. So a couple of things there, Ryan. I went to the MEA website, and looked at the G20 objectives just to make sure I had my head in the right place before I started, going down the wrong trail there. So the G20 objectives are policy coordination between its members in order to achieve global economic stability and sustainable growth. Number 2, to promote financial regulations that reduce risks and prevent future financial crisis. And number 3 at that time was to create a new international financial architecture. Now, that was dated, that was on the first G20, which was held in November 2008 in Washington. So that part, or that little piece of the MEA, was dated August the 20th, 2012. But it wasn't until the 7th G20 that 2 additional points were added. So point number 4 was enhancing food security and addressing commodity price volatility. And number 5, to promote sustainability, development, green growth, and the fight against climate change. So I guess my question to you, as well as the rest of the American people, is if oil and gas do collapse, what in the hell do they think is going to happen to point number 1 and point number 2?
I heard an interesting theory.
Are we going in the right direction? That's what I'm saying here.
Well, so yeah, maybe. I heard an interesting theory the other day. This was on the Drill Down podcast, and they did some Q&A, and oh gosh, here we go. He's here. I'm sorry. So yeah, he's here.
Ryan's run a lot, so that works.
Yeah, okay. And they said that should we expect higher oil prices under the Biden administration because higher oil prices makes renewables more competitive? And so I thought about that.
Renewables are already so cheap. So, I mean, they're not making any money off the deal at the moment. So, I mean, how would you ever prop them up to get them to where they were that competitive?
Well, if oil's at $100 a barrel, let's just say, I'm not saying it's going to go to 100, then oil is more expensive, and so the margins on renewables becomes better because whatever the renewable cost is, subsidies and all that stuff, you can charge more for it, or you don't have to subsidize it as much because the price of oil is higher. When oil is cheap, renewables become less competitive because you can buy more oil for cheap.
I mean, I think they probably should have started out with them being expensive. Going back the other direction, it's going to be hard to fool anybody.
Yeah, well,
that's my thoughts anyway.
So
I don't think I'm not sure if you ever get to a point, unless you're going to be like one of our countries over there in Europe, to where you just basically go zero. And that's going to be the only way that you're going to ever be able to do renewable on any kind of a market. So
yeah, I mean, you got to be pretty dedicated to the cause. And
no, carbon reduction. I get it.
Yeah.
That's the next thing we're going to talk about here. It's the Vatican going net zero.
Well, the other thing is, have you seen the reports? Have you seen the reports about this year about the emissions and how they really didn't? Either they went down minimal or basically even. The global emissions didn't change that much, despite the fact we shut down literally everything.
I must have been reading a conflicting report, because the one I read meant that it took a pretty good drop there after March, and then it came right back up where it was at before. So
I'm talking about for the year, though. For the year, not for.
No, I haven't read anything here lately.
Yeah, so you have a decent little drop there. Obviously, when China shut down, there's the satellite photos to show that, but year on year, the overall change wasn't significant.
Bad data again, huh?
Well, I mean, I just don't know, if those reports are true that we had a 5 or 10% decrease or whatever it was, and it took the world to shut down to have that decrease, then I think you're kind of to where you say, well, okay, how do you ever hit these goals that we're talking about?
Never.
Right. Never. Not anytime.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So it seems like these days, Ryan, if you're not cool if you're not going net zero, though. So
I'm net zero. Are you not net zero?
I'm definitely not.
I've been net zero for a long time, man. A long time.
No, definitely not net zero. But it seems like you're not cool if you're not net zero these days, though. So the newest one that's come on the bus there is the Pope and the Vatican. So again, I got two things here. I'm probably going to piss a couple of people off here, but that's okay. Number one, I mean the history. The Vatican has a lot of borrowed items over its hundreds of years from Rome. So they probably should think about maybe giving some of that back as a nice gesture, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. Number two is there hasn't been a lot of good public news about anything to do with diocese, Vatican, Catholics, the whole nine yards for the last 10, 15 years. I think it has something to do with the problem in some of the churches with the younger children being abused. So that's number two, right? So
that's not a good look.
So what are they going to eat after they stop having beef? Because I mean, obviously they emit CO2 as you're farming them, but I assume they'll plant some more trees. But you can only plant so many trees on the 5x5 there they got. So what's your take there?
I mean, we can talk about Catholic history here for a second. The popes, each pope kind of has his kind of like a president on some level. They kind of have their own agenda and whatnot. And then this pope has been extremely more liberal than previous popes of recent memory have been, for sure. And it's interesting because not only do you have to deal with this pope, he hasn't, to my knowledge, done anything. I don't want to get into how the pope speaks infallibly and all that right now, but he hasn't done anything that's permanent. And so I'm curious to see with the church what they do the next step, because this message of net carbon zero and stuff, that is one of the most elitist things that you can talk about. Go down to an emerging market where there's a lot of Catholics in Brazil, in Honduras, in Nicaragua, South America, a lot of Catholics down there. They
big polluters that weren't invited to the G20.
Yes. They just make paycheck to paycheck, and they ain't got a paycheck. So this is, to me, this virtue signaling, and I wonder if long term, if stuff like this will actually lose if the papal credibility will diminish, because people are like, net zero, what does that even mean? I'm just trying to freaking eat here today, man. I'm down here starving. Why don't you send some of that Vatican? Why don't you, as you say, give back some of that Vatican stuff and give me some food? That'll work.
So Ben is asking, where are they burying all the decommissioned wind turbine blades, right?
And they're
probably burying them in the ground under the solar panels that they got put up.
Well, I mean, I think Ben's got property that he buries nuclear waste, batteries, stuff like that, doesn't he? Right?
It's bombarding right there. It's pretty good.
Whoa. That's aggressive. Why did you invite him? I told you. Why did you do this? Oh,
There's another one. Yeah,
oh.
this is great. This is great. This is what we're here for. We're here for. Keep the
Say,
comments coming. They're great. They're great.
I asked you and everyone watching a question because Ben, I went to Burger King one time, and he never. Okay, I've been there more than once, but I just went there one time, and he never lets me live it down. Is there something wrong with Burger King? And I drive an F-250 because I'm a red-blooded American. Okay, that's what I do. I put diesel in my truck on a daily basis. Well, okay, I don't drive anymore, but I put diesel when I get out. But yes. I mean, it's Burger King. When did Burger King become un-American?
I don't know, man. I hadn't been around Burger King in a while. To be honest,
you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. Ben's gonna. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I enjoy Burger King.
All right.
So, I mean, it's not like, listen, it's not Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, okay?
No, it's not. No.
And in the town I live in, when I'm going a certain way,
there's Starbucks.
Yeah. There's a McDonald's and a Burger King on the right side of the road. So if you're on that side, on the right side, on the one side of the road, and to turn left is a big pain. So it's easy just to go to Burger King and McDonald's if you're going right there. So I just whip up in there. And so North Face. Oh, good. Yeah, we really getting into it.
Well,
James.
we're gonna before we get started there. This is the last thing I'll say about what the popes had to say.
Oh yeah, please. I'm sorry. Ben did his thing, his normal.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm gonna just quote this little girl right here.
This is bullshit.
What is it?
This is bullshit.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna bring up Greta. How dare you?
No, it's great. No, I'm just I just think it's bullshit.
I agree.
All right. Here we go. North Face. Seems North Face has turned a little back on the oil and gas company there, and so Innovex. So let's jump over there and look at that. Yeah. So I'm sure that over this past couple of days, or maybe even a week or so, that I'm sure that CBS 7's website has crashed at least once or twice. I'm sure from probably some of the traffic. But so Ryan, it's been all over social media. I even sent a message to Mr. Anderson to see if he wanted to come on the show here and do a chat with us. And we're pretty small. He never replied back, but that's okay. It's an open invitation to anybody that wants to come along. So Houston-based Innovex Downhole Solutions says it was recently denied an order of jackets for the North Face, popular outdoor recreation company, because they are in the oil and gas business. They did go on to say a little bit more, but the interesting thing was the 4-page open letter that Mr. Anderson wrote to the CEO. Yeah. And I'll note his last paragraph here. The irony in this statement is your jackets are made from oil and gas products the hardworking men and women of the industry produce. I think this stance by your company is counterproductive virtue signaling, and I would appreciate you reconsidering this stance. We should be celebrating the benefits of what oil and gas do to enable the outdoor lifestyle your brand embraces. Without oil and gas, there would be no market for nor ability to create the products your company sells. So touche for him calling them out, but everyone, like we talked about, I think it was in the very first episode, is you got to remember where these products come from. You got to remember who owns these companies. You got to do your research on these brands, because these you don't like I said, companies own companies. So it's also like the North Face has a whole lot of other companies that are with they're in VF Corp with a few more. I mean, also like Bulwark, Walls, James is saying Vans and Timberland. There's a lot of people under that VR Corp window. So I mean, was this just a one shot? You think it was just somebody doing a quote and said, no, I don't want to send you guys a quote, or what?
Well, let me just say, I fully support North Face here. And as a member of the oil and gas community, I want to be the first, and I sent this tweet out a few days ago, the first encourage them to fully embrace their new anti-oil and gas agenda. There are Amish communities all around the U.S. we can plug them into, and maybe they can go kill ox and sell like ox coats or sheepskin coats. I don't know. I doubt the rugged mountain climbers that they appeal to will want to buy that, but I am fully endorsing this position, and I will personally drive them in a horse and buggy to the nearest Amish community of their choosing, so that they can live out their life in perpetuity. And, I'm here for them. I'm here for them, and so that's the kind of guy.
Turn the lights off is what you're saying.
I'm just
Turn
saying.
the lights completely off.
I'm just saying, like, I'm here to support them. I'm here to support them in whatever they do.
I mean, we shared the story all across our little network there. And, some of the comments that came back was obviously some of the same. Yours has been quite creative. I mean, I definitely support if you don't want to be in it to get out of it. So, I mean, it's not a, sometimes it's not an industry for weak-hearted these days. That's for sure.
I'm just saying that if North Face does not want to use oil and gas products, then let's send them to the Amish. That's where they belong. That's where they will find people who do not use oil and gas products like they do, right?
Well, I mean, they definitely don't use them on the kind of scale that North Face does or VR Corp does.
Right.
So, I mean, they still have to burn something in that candle. I mean, not candle, but in that lantern. So there's something they burn in there. I mean,
I've wondered where they get the oil from. I don't know, but okay, we talk about getting net zero. Well, we're going to make North Face net zero in the realest way. We're going to put them on an Amish life, and they're going to be out there living. It's going to be hard to make sales without plastics and computers. It's going to be hard to make products, but I think
it's actually going to be hard to keep your employees around because there won't be anything to eat.
Yes. That there's a lot of challenges that they're going to face. But in all seriousness, I always throw that out there when companies virtue signal like, "Oh, we don't want to support oil and gas companies." Like, okay, well then great. Let's just go all in, because when you buy our plastics and stuff, you're supporting oil and gas companies. So I fully support, in all seriousness, a business being able to choose who they want to sell to or not. So I have no problem with North Face not doing this. I'm actually glad they said it, because now I know I don't want to be forced to buy their products, and so now I know I won't go buy their products, and that should be fine. And so if North Face has,
I'll just be straight up, Ryan. North Face never made anything that I could wear any damn way.
Well,
it's across my shoulders. It's not happening.
Yeah. I wasn't going to go there. That they didn't have products for a big guy like myself anyway. So it wasn't like they're losing a customer.
That's right. I mean, this is the wall. This is the walls and bulwark side of the company that we're wearing. So yeah.
If there was if they're in the salad, if I was eating salad, maybe so. But
that's right, James. Yeah, whenever I have to go shopping, I have to go look for tents. That's correct.
I look for the
tarpaulin. Right. And my tents that I wear are made out of oil and gas. So
absolutely, wow. This is some kind of synthetic oil and gas something or another. I don't know, but and I've seen
those buttons that are sewed onto that shirt are made with poly or synthetic thread.
Oh yeah,
sewed on. So,
yeah. So let me ask you this though: I've seen a lot of people that are offering to take North Face clothes and donate them to the the local homeless shelters. That's been a good thing. That's been a positive, because the homeless people right now need jackets, need warm clothes. We obviously don't care if it's North Face or whoever. So good for them. And that also means that it gives companies who are pro oil and gas a chance to increase their revenue. And so I think stories like these actually have some positives, because if you're an oil and gas professional now, you have to decide whether or not you want to support a company that fundamentally hates what you do for a living. And if you want to do that, then whatever, that's fine. But if you don't, now I'm not going to go to North Face. Now, you can't make that decision with everything you do in life, because there's too many companies to track. But you can say with North Face, okay, listen, you're not getting my $75 for this little cloth mask. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go buy it from whoever. And listen, I'll just say this: if I'm gonna buy winter gear, I like the hunting gear. It seems to be better made anyways. Real Tree or mossy oak or something like that. Something that's it's got a little thickness to it. Again, big guy. I need a little warmth on me.
Well, I'm kind of a Red Wing guy, so I mean, I do
Hey,
like the Red Wing brand.
we
So,
all have them Greg Williams deep pockets, maybe get some sponsors. I can
well,
afford that brewing stuff, but I'm
we
I'm
need to get Red Wing to sponsor. Maybe we need to holler at some of the other boys there.
yeah, I'm ready Magellan, man of the people. Just kind of make it day by day.
I actually do like Game Guard too, so I wear a lot of Game Guard gear. All right, you ready to get into this vaccine?
I mean, sure, why not? I've already called for North Face to go live an Amish lifestyle. What's the worst I can say?
No, that's right. So, as we all know, the trucks left out Michigan there December 13th with Pfizer's vaccine on it out of Michigan. So my interesting thing here was Fauci talking about herd immunity against COVID-19 by the end of second quarter 2021. So what do you think?
You're trying to get us kicked off.
Herd immunity.
You're trying to get us kicked off this thing. Okay, so
I do have some comments after you, so you can feel free to. Because I'm going to share with everybody what China's doing with their vaccine.
Yeah. So let me say this. So when you're talking about herd immunity, how far you want me to go on this one? Because I've got some interesting.
Well, if we want to, okay, so I don't want to go too deep into it, but at the end of the day, herd immunity isn't that something that we already have? I mean, if it wasn't, we'd be killing more people than what we are now. So there has to be some people out there that is immune from it.
Right. Well, and that's part of New York. Some people believe that maybe the herd immunity threshold is lower because of the New York numbers. Now we'll see as it progresses what happens with New York, especially New York City, to see how that transpires. But some people have speculated that maybe the herd immunity threshold is lower. But the herd immunity thing is a little bit interesting for Fauci to be talking about that, because maybe in the U.S. or parts of the U.S. you could achieve that, but globally, if they're saying that you have to have 60 to 70% people either vaccinated or have had the virus, herd immunity globally will not be achieved for some time. And that's going to be the problem. We're about to talk about the vaccine and, what you would do with it. And that's going to be the problem, is because you could go to insert emerging market here and they say, well, okay, you have to have a vaccine to come here because we don't have herd immunity. And so, and the opposite is true as well about people coming to the United States, is that, are you going to require everyone who enters our borders to have a vaccine?
Right.
Because if not, the more people without it, then the further you get away from herd immunity. Assuming that you want to kind of work in that paradigm that Fauci's working in.
Well, I mean, it was like I got a message the other day. It was let me see here. So, the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine accuracy is 94%. Moderna vaccine accuracy is 94.5%. The Oxford vaccine accuracy is 90%. So now this is for India. So the India recovery rate without the vaccine is 93.6%.
Right.
So they were saying that they need more fresh lime and soda here than the actual vaccine. So now, granted, not all countries in the world are responding the same way, for sure, but there's definitely something to be said about that herd immunity statement. That's for sure.
Well, let me ask you this: have you read Kaiser Fung's analysis of the Pfizer vaccine?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so you should go. I'll try to send you some stuff. He has. I can put this in the thread here so people go read it. So Kaiser Fung is I don't know what his proper term is, statistician, business analyst type guy who looks at numbers and stuff, and he's been going through the Pfizer data, and let's see here if I can pull this up. Essentially, the effectiveness. I'll just put this in the thread so people can go look it up themselves. You can go read and
Sure.
make your own determinations. But anyways, so yeah, I'll just go find the thing and put it in the on the thing. If you just scroll down, you can see about 4 or 5 blog posts in where he started to talk about all this stuff. So there she blows for people who want to read that. I think you go read that, you'll understand what is actually being said the vaccine does and what it doesn't does. What it does and doesn't does. What it does claim what it does claim it's
what it do.
Yeah, what it do to do. So it's interesting when you kind of get into what they're actually saying the vaccine is supposed to be doing. It might be a little bit different than what some people are led to believe.
Yeah. So who gets the vaccine first, Ryan?
Well, I mean, so I'm on the record pretty clear back in March on my take on this, and I've only modified one thing from any public comment I said in March, which had to do with the kids. At the time, I thought kids were susceptible, and then I know because of some stuff offline that I changed my stance on that within a week or two. I looked at the data and realized that. My thoughts were back in March is that to protect the elderly, because the elderly were the most vulnerable, and maybe like stage 4 cancer patients or organ donor people on the list,
Right.
those people. So I would say the vaccine needs to go to those people first. Those are the ones if they want to take it. Now, they should be made to take it, obviously, but if they want to take it.
So frontline health care workers and the elderly.
I would say the elderly first because they're the ones who are likely to die. Then the frontline healthcare workers, because if you have less of the elderly getting sick, then in the vaccine theory, like assuming the vaccine works, let's just assume that. If you assume that, you say, well, do you vaccinate the people who are working on people with people that are going to get sick and die? Well, I would vaccinate those who are going to get sick and die first, because if they're not getting sick and die, then you don't need the healthcare workers. You need them, but you don't need them for that.
Yeah, no, that's right. But if everybody in the U.S. Thinks about the vaccine, they're the anti-vaxxers and all the rest of those, people in the world. Here's what China does. Let me pause that so it doesn't go off there. Maybe I need to play it. It won't play. Anyway, China begins COVID testing trials on children as young as 3. So 2 companies in China have confirmed they have begun COVID test trials on vaccines on children as young as age 3. In America, Pfizer is not tested on kids younger than 16. That's from NBC. So they just got on down to the nitty gritty there and just went straight to the young ones with it. They didn't even go to jail. They just went straight to the little ones.
It's interesting.
We are talking about China though, so
it's weird because the children are the least susceptible to the virus.
That's wild.
And so it makes you wonder if they're thinking, well, they're least susceptible, but they also have maybe the quickest recovery immune system. So if the vaccine does have problems, giving it to them, they could recover faster. So you can kind of try it on the children. I don't know. It's weird and it's creepy if nothing else.
But I think anything that publicly comes out about tests and trials is probably 50% wrong anyway. So who knows? I mean, I'm not in the lab with these guys when they're doing it, but it is interesting that we're not testing below 16 and they just went straight on down to the 3-year-olds and just get it over with.
Yeah. I don't know.
But no, I don't know either.
That's I just like you said, what comes out of China is always hard to decipher. It's hard to decipher on a couple levels because you have what they say, but if you this great. If you listen to Chinese speak, they have their talking points, and they do not get off those talking points. And so you could go hear a diplomat in the U.S. or a diplomat in Australia or in Africa, and when they're on their mainline talking points, they do not. They have these things they just say pop, 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 and so they're just saying that. You don't know if it's true or not because they'll say it in every context.
Right.
And so it's funny. I recommended this book. I didn't put it up. Have you read China and the West? From the Monk debates?
No.
Okay, it's an interesting book, and I think it's folks
I
who are
learn
interested.
something new every day.
Yeah, well, it's actually a debate, and so but they've taped it and they've transcribed it, and so it's good for people who are trying to understand some of the issues from both sides. And I'll put this out here, for folks who want to see it. But the thing that I found that's fascinating about it is there's certain things that when you push a Chinese debater on, they will not address because they can't. They just can't,
Of course
and it's
not.
right. And so it's just funny because we say that, but then
They'll be waiting for them at the airport whenever they get home.
right. So you say that and you kind of forget about it. And then you're like, oh, yeah, of course. But then if you don't have that ingrained in your mind with everything you read from China, it's hard to really know, what you're reading is true or not. And so, it's like they're testing stuff. They were testing batch testing, which is different than for COVID, which is different than what we were testing for. So that changes things as well.
Absolutely.
Bullshit. What is it? This is bullshit.
The testing those 3-year-olds. That was one that wanted to get away.
That's crazy.
Okay, on from the vaccine. Next, talk about a little entertainment here. You're a Disney fan, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
So, so this came out on the IGN.com Instagram there. I think it was that about 6 days ago, and my son Sean actually sent it to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, look," and I knew they were talking about doing a couple of these, but I didn't know that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
So I only knew like 2 of those that they were going to be working on, and I knew the droid story, and I knew Andor. The rest of them didn't know anything about. So I'm super stoked about the Obi-Wan. So that's going to be probably in the Mandalorian style, I would think.
I'm worried. Okay, so I'm stoked about Obi-Wan, but I'm kind of worried about it.
Are you?
Well, what can you got?
Obi-Wan, man.
Well, no, it's not. No. So Obi-Wan's one of my favorite characters of the prequels. I love the character. I'm just afraid. So you got to think you've got these 9 mainline stories that everyone knows, and then you have the books and the comics stuff that lets people know. So whatever this Obi-Wan series is will be judged. Yeah, the Mandalorian will be judged on that. And so you have the episode 3 where spoiler alert if you haven't seen Star Wars from 20 years ago, episode 3 where Anakin gets his leg cut off by Obi-Wan, and then episode 4,
no, give it away.
Oh, sorry. And then episode 4 you have the meeting again. So and Anakin Obi-Wan sitting there supposed to be watching Luke for all these years, and so he couldn't have done a whole lot. And so if he comes and they're bringing back Hayden Christensen to play Vader, so it's just they have to be careful because they will create too many conflicts with the canon. That's my concern. And the other thing is, if Obi-Wan was watching Luke, he couldn't have caused too big of a ruckus. So is he gonna be like a spy, like creeping around the galaxy?
You don't think they made it kind of complicated already? I mean, yeah. Before they even got to Disney Plus or The Mandalorian, it was complicated. So I think what they're doing here is they're expanding on the line, and they're taking complete market share here with, how they're rolling out these new series and breaking everything down. They're doing what Marvel talked about doing years ago, and these guys are going to do it. They're going to throw the money in, and they're going to.
I'm not saying I'm not excited. It's one of those things because I care. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's like this. Don't mess it up. Don't screw it up. The series can be bad, and I can live with it. Just don't screw up the plot. As you say, the timeline's a little bit convoluted as it is.
Well,
don't screw it up too much. I'm excited about the
even with Arya.
I love the Clone Wars series.
Yeah. So for me it's Obi-Wan and Andor. So that's the 2. The rest I'm still a little iffy on.
So you don't like the Clone Wars series? The show, the TV show?
The Clone Wars? What now?
Yeah. Have you ever watched the Clone Wars TV?
No, I haven't watched the Clone Wars, the TV show.
Oh, Greg.
No,
Greg.
sorry. No,
Greg.
this one.
Okay, so before you watch it, you need to go watch it. Google how to watch the Clone Wars because they're not released in chronological order. So like season 1, episode 1 and season 1, episode 6 do not necessarily follow straight in the timeline. So you just need to go watch how to watch them. And it's like season 2,
How many
episode
seasons
15,
is it?
7. Yeah.
All right.
And
Got something to catch up on then.
right. And if you follow them in chronological order, there's some that are pretty they're made for kids, they're made for adults. Some are more kids, some are more adults. So some of them are kind of goofy, but some of them are pretty good. And you gotta think of them, they're kind of like mini movies. There's like 2 or 3 episodes will be like one story. Okay. And so that's like a movie almost because it's like 3 episodes, like an hour.
Sure.
Huh?
I said sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Bad Batch comes in at the end of the last season, which they just released back a few months ago, and so it's a continuation of that storyline.
Okay.
Relatively new spoilers because of what happened to the Bad Batch and all that. So, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes a bit of sense now. So, but for me, I haven't heard anything about I mean, of course, you can read through this this little bit of blip here. If you go over to the calendar, I'll put the link in some of the notes there. But it basically goes through a rundown of each one of the series. So if you're talking about so the Bad Bunch, let's see here.
Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So continuation of beloved animated series, The Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So you watch 7 seasons of an animated show?
Well, the way you say that, I don't appreciate that tone. I don't appreciate that tone.
So I'm now I'm struggling, but I will give it an honest go. So
you know, it's okay.
Okay. I'm not gonna knock on it yet. I'll wait. I'll get started on it. If wait, no, can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't play it out of the country. Yeah, so undisclosed locations don't let me stream Disney Plus. So
you need to get you a VPN. I'll send you a link to one that can fix that for you.
I have a VPN, man. Disney Plus is also smart.
Oh, okay. Tom,
Yeah, I've tried.
And Tony Deere said Rogue One answered a lot of questions between episode 3 and 4. It did. I agree. And then Tom's laughing at either me for liking Clone Wars or you for hating on Clone Wars. I'm going to assume he's laughing at you.
Not specifically. I mean, it's just animated shows in general. Now, okay. In saying that, I do have to make a confession. I did the last animated movie for the Teenage Titans. I did watch that.
What are you talking about? Clone Wars! I got Yoda. I got Windu. I got Obi-Wan. I got Anakin, and you're making fun of me for fucking Teen Titan.
Dude, there's a difference between watching one movie and 7 seasons of it. So it's different.
Shut your mouth, Greg. Okay. Don't get into the time spin into this thing. Just okay. Oh, gracious.
All right, so we're not going to spend a whole lot more time on Disney. I think they are set themselves up for a good run there.
Yeah, just as an aside, this is not investment advice, but if you're looking at a stock to buy, I don't know how they don't dominate the streaming wars over the next 3 to 5 years. So all stocks, I think, are over a little bit inflated, but Disney's one you got to look at. So anyways, just for what that's worth.
I think there's a lot of people need to be looking at a lot of different tech stuff. I mean, the entertainment industry, other than, open air opera, is driven by tech. So, right. I mean, the faster these, countries get as far as their, bandwidth and their speed, and people are consuming more online media than they ever have before. And it's not just because of the coronavirus. I mean, it's just simply because they spend more time on a screen, period. But, so I ran into this a couple of days ago. We'll go to this last part. We're almost out of here. So this would be Mr. Jake Paul called out Conor McGregor. Of course, he called him out, weeks ago, and been calling him out probably every day. But it's interesting that this one here. So that's 50 million from the Jake Paul tribe that he's putting down, calling out Conor. So 50 million is more than Conor made off his last fight. And I can't play the video because I will get thrown in for copyright. So, but listen, if you want to go check out the video, it's on Overtime's TikTok account. But it's kind of classical. It's got Jake in his flip up sunshades there, look from 1985, with this huge Cuban cigar. He's got a bit of a flag draped across his shoulder, and I think he's sitting in a.
That's the Irish flag. That's Conor's flag.
Oh, is it? Is it? And
sure.
So I think he's sitting in a some kind of super fancy sports car, and he's got this huge check next to the car, $50 million check, and says, "Hey, I'm 2-0, and you're 1-0, or you're 0-1.
0-1.
So I'm ahead of you.
Oh,
so
great.
I'm putting 50 million down."
Whatever you think about.
See, if that was me right there, I'd still have bruises from my last fight, and he's already healed up.
Yeah, whatever you say about them, they're master promoters, and so, it's, you can hate them, you think they're stupid, and I'm not fans of their. I don't watch their stuff. I don't follow their YouTube stuff. The only reason I know about it is because they make it into broader context news. But they're master promoters, and so, it's like yesterday, one of them went by and was taunting Conor's training partner or coach or something. I can't remember. And everyone was losing their mind, like, "Oh my gracious, this is why you can't, bring these guys to the mainstream." It's like, the mainstream, you're mainstream talking about them. If you this is how it works. They have got you talking about them. That's all they wanted. Like, you don't think they know what they're doing? They're master.
I mean, they are mainstream. They're just not in that stream. That's the
right.
Yeah.
They're just master promoters, and to deny that they're master promoters is silly. They're master promoters, and so
and they have been for 10 years. It's just nothing new for them.
Right. And so they're just going into this space and, make a lot of money at it. And, if you don't, it's like going back to North Face thing. If you don't like their stuff, then don't talk about them. Don't retweet them. Don't, and they'll go away eventually if enough people do it. But if a lot of people talk about them, they're going to be here. And listen, I would love to see.
I don't want to see him box. I want to see Jake get in the octagon with him. I want to see him in the MMA match with him. That's what I want.
Yeah, that wouldn't last long. That wouldn't last long.
But if he wants to put 50 million down, we should put 50 million on that, right?
Well, I would love to see him bare knuckle box.
Ooh. Wow. So if anybody's never seen the movie with the Gangs of New York, they need to watch that movie. Ryan, have you ever seen Gangs of New York?
I have not. I've been watching Clone Wars.
Yeah, 7 seasons of it. That's a lot of cartoons, man. But but listen, you need to go watch Gangs of New York. I mean, I know it's a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, but it's got some pretty good. It's got some pretty good bare knuckle boxing scenes in it, man.
Well, I was managing fighters for a while, right?
What's that?
I was managing fighters for a while, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was managing fighters. No. I had a couple. I'm not doing it now, but I got a couple of my guys into the bare knuckle, the BKFC. David Feldman, I know that guy. And so I've been there. Watched one of my guys. He lost. One of my guys won, and so been to their event. So it's interesting.
So that bare knuckles boxing, you can't get close to the side of the ring, get blood on you, for sure.
Yeah. There's a little spray pattern going on there, so you want to
absolutely.
You want to stay out. You want to stay back.
All right. So, Ryan, that's another show. It's episode 3 for us. So, you got any parting words besides wanting to see Jake Paul get choked out in the ring? Maybe try not to watch so many episodes of Clone Wars. Now you're going to go back and watch them all.
Wow, that's aggressive. Listen, there's some bad Clone Wars episodes. I'm going to be honest with you. There's going to be some points you're going to say, wow, this is for 3-year-olds. I agree.
That's exactly the reason I didn't want to watch this. That's exactly what I'm going to say to myself.
But there's some really good ones. And so, I mean, it's better than Teen Titans. I had seen Teen Titans. I don't know, but
Dude.
just Google how to watch them in the proper order and do that, and then report back. And then you can blast me if you want. I'm a big boy. I can take it. So I'll put my North Face jacket on.
I just jumped to the part where I just asked my kids about the Clone Wars and just take a little essay and be done with it.
Yeah, well,
in my North Face jacket.
Yeah, Ahsoka, that's where she comes in at. A lot of interesting characters are introduced in the Clone Wars. So,
all right, folks, that's us. So you can reach out to myself or Ryan here on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever we're at for any sponsorship. So this show is actually broadcast to over 100K. Hopefully we could get at least 5K of that on one day. That would be nice. But anyway, tune in here each week at Thursday or on Thursday at 10 a.m. So Ryan,
next week, Christmas Eve, you're at the office, sitting there. The boss is a jerk, making you work. Put the headphones in. We'll be here next week at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. Yeah. So we'll be here.
Christmas Eve. The year's almost over.
I know. Thankfully.
2020.
There we go.
2020, almost out. We're your hosts, Greg Williams. I'm with Rig Lynx, and that's Ryan Ray with War Room Media. And that's a wrap. Y'all have a good Friday. And the rest of your Thursday, too.
Yeah. All Thursday over. I don't know where you're at, but here we've got all Thursday. Well,
that's just the way it is. I'm working on a whole another day. So
are you in China? Is that what's going on? Are you in Australia?
I could possibly be. I could possibly be.
All right, brother.
Location.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good week. You've been watching Overtime, a live series brought to you by Rig Lynx and War Room Media. Your hosts have been Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglynx.com. Tune in next Thursday at 10 a.m. CST for another live episode.